Hello, everybody. I'm DearMYRTLE, your friend in genealogy, but you know that this channel is all about journaling, where I tell one ancestral story in a handmade journal to share with my grandchildren. Now, I've been storing these in an old steamer trunk that Mr. Myrt gave me for Christmas. And in this case, I did not embellish the cover of the journal because it reminds me of some Formica that was new back in the 60s, I think, that my father bought and actually covered the front door with it and, covered over the turquoise blue paint that had been uh, our stepmother Blanche's favorite color. Well, it's still her favorite color. Anyway, I decided rather than using sari silk or ribbons, I'd just use an ordinary brass clip to keep the journal closed. Okay, so this is about my father's hunting experiences, including the story of the robin. Now, there are some little tuck spots here and there with more parts to the story that my grandchildren will have yet to explore once they can come to the house and go through the steamer trunk. But since they can't do that yet because of COVID, I'm making these videos so that they can tour this all virtually. Here's the story of the robin. And first of all, let me show you this picture of my dad. I'll get really close. He's about 8 to 9 years old. And so this would be about 1926, 1927 in Seattle, and he's dressed up like a cowboy. Neckerchief, big, well, it looks like a 50-gallon hat on top of him, but just a little guy. This came from about a postage size stamp. Pretty amazing what our scanners can do these days. Anyway, every time we would drive up Queen Anne Avenue from Roy Street, which is called the counterbalance because it has things underneath the street that used to help pull the trolleys, the electric trolleys, up the hill. Now they just have regular buses. But anyway, every time we'd go up Queen Anne Avenue, my dad would shudder a little bit and tell me one of his two favorite stories about the hill. And this is the story of the robin. Now, he'd point to a tree on the west side of the street and explain that as a young boy, he and his friends made slingshots out of wooden sticks. Well, it would have to be a pretty sturdy one, and a long, heavy rubber band. And they would practice shooting targets. One day, Dad aimed for a robin's nest in that very tree. And unfortunately, he hit a robin that fell down to the ground, and it absolutely horrified him. And even at 80 years of age, when he'd retell this story, he'd get choked up. It would bring tears to his eyes. He swore to himself he would never shoot another living animal again. He told me that he tried to be brave in front of his friends and kind of joke about it, but all the way home, he felt heartsick. And when he was home, he just burst into tears and told his mother about it and about his promise. Okay, so we're going to turn the page in this journal. And now we see a bearskin rug with big teeth. Let me get really close so you can see that. A yellow sheet of paper and a picture. Got to find out about that. So what is up with the bear? Well, Dad later modified that promise in his adult life. As his friends were starting to do bird hunting, we began to eat a lot of duck, chukar, and pheasant. The new promise was that he'd never shoot more than what we could eat. And at this time, I was a mom with two young children, Tammy and Stacy. Now, I think I did some more here, too. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I'm explaining why he went hunting for bear, because that wasn't, he really was known in his later life, like from his 40s and 50s, 60s, as a bird hunter. for sport. Well, for what we ate, not for sport. Washington State has a lottery periodically, inviting hunters to go with a guide to catch one black bear each to control overpopulation over on the Olympic Peninsula. That's an Olympic National Forest area. Dad did get a black bear, but it took him 3 shots, which made him feel a little bit ashamed because it was about 5 minutes between the first and the third shot. Dad and our brothers helped all make beef jerky, which I don't like at all. And our wonderful stepmother, whom my daughters know as Grandma Blanche, learned the craft of creating pot roast with bear meat. What you have to do is soak it, run that off, and then soak it again, and then make little slits and insert some raw bacon. You can never have too much bacon, but I digress. So what we have here is the picture of my dad. Let me get this right in under the camera. I know it's 1976, but not because the photo says that. Let me show you how I know that. Let me put this back in this little pocket. Okay. So here we have the taxidermy receipt. Genealogists like documentary evidence that provides provenance. And here we have the taxidermy receipt, my dad's name, address, no zip code in those days. In fact, the abbreviation for Washington was WASH. And he paid off the making of a bearskin rug on Christmas Eve, 1976. Yeah. So that's how I know the provenance of a certain bearskin rug. Now, what we're going to do next, this is my craft room and my office is upstairs. So we're going to then adjourn to the office for the ceremonial presentation of this journal in the steam room. Oops. So now we are ready for the ceremonial placement of the journal, talking about Dad's hunting experiences, getting the black bear. And the trouble is, this photo is too big to fit in the drawers. And I have another problem because the bearskin rug itself is too big to fit in the drawers. I brought it in off the wall just so you all could see it. But this is the journal, and apparently the bear wants a bite of me. I don't know, but there's the journal, and there's nothing left to say but happy family tree climbing and bear hunting, everybody. That's a wrap.